Hi, this is Scott Hamilton from InKnowVision. Thanks for watching this webcast. This is one in a series of short videos on captive insurance companies. You can view more of these videos by going to YouTube and searching for InKnowVision Captives. You can also find more information on our website, InKnowVision.com. The website is listed here at the bottom of the slide. These videos are educational and are not designed to be tax advice. Please read the disclaimer on the last page of this slideshow for more information. If you have any questions after watching this video or would like to explore next steps, please feel free to contact us. Our email address and phone number are listed here on the first slide, and they'll also be listed on the last slide so that you can get that information and give us a call or an email as you like. Today we're going to be talking about different planning ideas and really focusing in on how to use captive insurance company ownership as a way of reaching certain business goals or certain goals that seem to be common to business owners. So the question really is if you're going to form a captive, who should be the owner of the captive? Now, captives can be owned by their parent, which means the operating company. So if you're a business owner and you have a company, we're going to be calling that the parent company, and the captive could be owned by the parent. Captives, though, can have more than one owner. So you could have 2, 3, 4. We have cases where we have 4 different owners of a captive. You could have multiple owners. And also it's important to realize that captives don't have to be owned by the parent. So you could have an operating company, you could have a captive. The captive could be owned by your operating company, or it could be owned by you, it could be owned by trust for the benefit of your children. There are a lot of different choices, some of which we'll go into today. So here's an example of what I just said. On the left we have an idea where the captive is owned by the client. So if you're the owner of your business, you could also be the owner of your captive insurance company. And of course you would get the benefits of the profits from that company. So perhaps you were thinking that it makes sense for you to get the profits of the captive since you were getting the profits of your company, and perhaps it might. But it could also be possible that you feel like you have enough money coming to you from the business, and perhaps you've put aside money in investment accounts or invested in other assets like real estate that are income producing, and you don't feel like you need the income from the captive or the value that might build up in that captive over time. In that case, you could have a trust set up that would be for the benefit of your children and perhaps your grandchildren, and of course that can go on down the line. It could be great-grandchildren. You could be building a pool of money for many future generations. And of course, in that case, the trust would own the captive shares. So it would be entitled to the captive profits. It would be entitled to any money that builds up inside the captive. And the advantage of that, of course, is that it would be essentially a shift or a transfer of wealth from you to your children and your grandchildren without any gift tax, without any estate tax, without any generation skipping transfer tax if it's going to grandchildren or great-grandchildren. So it can be a very effective way that a number of our private business owners use to pass wealth that they don't feel they need to their children and grandchildren and so forth. You could also have a captive owned by a trust for the benefit of key employees, and some people would say, well, I could see where I would want to get the benefit, and I might even see where I could want my kids to get the benefit or my grandkids, but what about employees? Well, in some cases, if the circumstances are right, you may have key employees, and you may want to try and structure golden handcuffs type agreements to keep the employees employed by your company, to make sure that they're not leaving, they're not going to a competitor, they're not taking away intellectual capital that they've developed over the years and bringing that somewhere else. So what you're trying to do is to lock them up as much as possible, and a captive is just simply another way of accomplishing that. So the captive is going to receive premiums from your operating business. Those are deductible to your operating business. They're not includable in the captive income stream from a tax point of view, as we've discussed in another video. And so ultimately, that money could be distributed out to a trust. That trust could benefit key employees provided they've met certain whatever obligations you've set out for them, whatever things you've designed into the trust, so that ultimately they would get the money if they do what they're supposed to do. So again, this video is just designed to give you a couple of ideas to spur some thoughts that you might have. This last example is sort of a middle of the road example. This is a client of ours who 5 or 6 years ago transferred half of their business over to a trust for the benefit of their kids, and since then the business has done very, very well, and so the part that's owned by the kids has done very well and has generated a lot of income and a lot of value. At the time, the client was thinking, gee, I got to make sure that my kids are taken care of, maybe, but I also want to make sure that I'm taken care of too. And so we came up with this idea of a split ownership for his operating business. And then when we started looking at a captive insurance company for his business, he thought, well, why don't we do the same thing? In fact, we used exactly the same percentages and took part of the captive insurance company and had it owned by the trust for his kids, and the client owns about half of it. So when the income is coming out of the captive down the road, when the business is profitable, they're each going to benefit. And of course, that could have been any percentages. We could have used 10% and 90% or 20% and 80%. In his case, I believe we're using 60% and 40%. But the idea is you've got sort of an infinite ability to shift income, to shift assets between yourself and your kids and grandkids, if you choose to include them, on a very tax-favored basis. So hopefully this has given you some ideas on ownership of a captive. If you have questions about this video or other questions about captives and you'd like to discuss them with us, feel free to give us a call or send an email. Both the phone number and the email address are here on the screen. If you'd just like to get some more information about captive insurance, you can again go to YouTube and watch other videos in this series. You can either use the link that's at the bottom of that particular button there, or you can just go to YouTube and search on InKnowVision and captives, and it should bring you to all the videos. Thanks very much for watching. I hope that it's been helpful for you, and again, we'd love to have the chance to speak with you about whether or not a captive insurance company could be right for you and your business. Thanks again for your time.